It's pretty much no surprise that this is the Citizen Kane of the Mega P fandom. Like, I am completely serious when I say that Transformers One is an incredible movie because it utterly embraces the queer coding of the relationship between Optimus Prime and Megatron fully to the end. However, what if I also say that Transformers One is also queer coded in other aspects besides all the juicy gay robot divorce stuff? Transformers One is a story of breaking out of the shell society places you in and figuring out exactly who you are and what you're meant for. So for this very special video for Pride Month this year, I'm going to explore the queer-coded layers within both the main relationship of the story and also its main themes. Before I do that, I'm going to state this as bluntly as I can. Stay pressed if you don't like the fact that this movie is for the gays, girlies, and theys. I can't wait to regulate the comments of this video after uploading this. Anyways, what makes film as a medium so enjoyable is that when done right, they allow the audiences to make their own conclusions and interpretations of their stories and characters. For me, especially as a bi-trans person, this movie especially resonates with me the most recently. So, saying these robots are gay will not kill your grandmas. I also want to make it clear that this is just my own queer interpretation of the movie, so I'm sure that there are others with much more different perspectives from me. If you have these perspectives, feel free to let me know in the comments. With that out of the way, let's go dissect the story of the two bros chilling in the Energon mine 5 feet apart because they're not gay. Alrighty, 3, 2, 1, Pingu. Let's get the obvious out of the way. It's clear that these two twunks are gay for each other. Much of Orion's unhinged king shenanigans are ultimately motivated by wanting to give Dee the life he deserves. Throughout my multiple rewatches of this movie, I've noticed that he's much more protective of Dee through how he immediately apologizes for his actions when it looks like both of them will get the chancla, and how he uses his hands in a defensive way to shield Dee from physical harm. On Dee's end, he's also protective of Orion through protecting him from punishment at Darkwing's hands, such as like the Allow Me scene. On the surface, it seems to be a humorous moment, but within the inner layers, it shows how much they truly care for each other. Additionally, on Orion's end, small little gestures such as gifting Dee the Megatronus Prime sticker provide much-needed levity from their everyday lives of constant turmoil and back-breaking labor. Like, everything established within the first act of the movie helps provide a strong case for a romantic interpretation of their relationship, which ultimately makes the inevitable much more tragic.
Looks good on you. Oh, it's really cool. Thanks. Always got your back. No matter what.
The thing is that the relationship between these two have always been queer-coded throughout the history of the franchise, through their interactions within the text, and this film is pretty much a tragic queer love story. As most queer media focus on the tragedy of having a secret queer relationship, in TF1's case, it's a tragic queer love story on the basis of the societal factors that drove them apart instead of together. Dee lost his way because the system he grew up in turned out to be a lie, which caused him to push Orion further and further until the point of no return has been crossed. I'll explore this in a bit, so keep a pin on that for later. While there are cracks within the relationship that becomes more apparent as the movie goes on, there's still resemblances of the love they once shared. Near the end of the movie, instead of outright killing Megatron, Optimus simply chose to banish him and the High Guard from Icon. While this could be due to needing to rebuild Cybertron after abolishing everything Sentinel has established, to me, it feels like he wants Megatron to have the life he can never have as D16. As I mentioned in one of my previous Transformers One specific video essays, underneath that decision lies Orion never wanting Dee to return to those minds ever again. Like, the tragedy is that this is all avoidable. Like, had they listened to each other, this could have been avoided, but ultimately, it's their own paths in life that comes at the expense of having to break apart the one thing that kept them going every day. their undying love for each other. When you really think about it, a huge part of what makes the movie's story work is the emphasis on community and solidarity in an oppressive environment. At the core of Transformers One, Together as One is an act of resistance against a dominant societal structure founded on classism and ableism. Community is a crucial way for marginalized groups to survive these societal structures because our bonds with each other are what destroys their desires to make us forget who we are. Through a queer lens, how this film explores community represents the need for solidarity in a crucial time where our existence is seen as a threat by those in power. Much of Orion's character arc revolves around him learning that he is not alone in his struggles. Learning the lesson of solidarity is what made him worthy of the matrix of leadership, mainly due to his undying hope of a better world as his greatest strength. At the start of the movie, we see that he's an outcast in Cybertronian society due to his rebellious personality and curiosity toward the world outside of the oppressive caste system. In a way, he evokes an openly queer person who has to navigate a world where their existence is marginalized due to these societal structures forcing him into a box. At least he had Dee as someone who kept him company even when the world is against him. Then they entered the Iacon 5000, got banished to Brazil where they met Bassatron, and go on their quest alongside an unwilling Alita 1. Throughout the middle part of the movie, we see Dee turning against the concept of community entirely once he realized his entire life is a lie and he decided that Sentinel needs to... You know what I mean. As I mentioned in one of my previous TF1 videos, it's important to take into consideration that Dee's rage against Sentinel is rooted in his own need for emotional catharsis than justice for his community. We see sprinklings of this mentality earlier through how he only focuses on the consequences of being a rebel whenever he and Orion get caught for their tomfoolery. Even when Orion openly shows concern for his declining sanity after they gain their teen cogs, Dee only focuses on bringing down Sentinel first, form a plan later. He sees everyone as collateral damage who are only loyal to Sentinel. To him, they are blind cogs in the machine. While he does gain his own community through the High Guard later on, it's very clear that it's rooted on the basis of gaining more and more power rather than seeking out people who share the same struggles as him. In contrast, when Orion returned to the miners' living complex to rally them against Sentinel, he was able to convince them through empathizing with their struggles and giving them the choice to either stay in the box or fight for a better life than what they were given. Combined with Alita's support behind him, Orion recognizes the importance of community as the key to making the world a better place. He's not alone in his struggles, and it was this realization that gave Primus a reason to make him Prime. It's just a shame that the one person Orion loves more than anything in the world couldn't be there alongside him because he was blinded by his own wrath and pain that made him cross the point of no return that ended up changing them both for the worst. In the current time we live in, Transformers One is a movie that I felt we need more than ever. Change is a part of nature, and it's only possible if everyone is there alongside you to put in the work. Community has always been an essential part of the LGBTQ+ community since we have each other in times of when we are left behind by those who don't understand us. It's the bonds we share with each other that is the antithesis of these dominant societal structures. These structures aim to keep us apart so that we are distracted while those who benefit from them take from us until they feel like we're not useful to them anymore. Transformers One is a story of recognizing the worth of community in a hostile social environment. Both our main protagonists show the need to recognize others in their struggles in order to break down the status quo in their own ways. While one rejects community out of a misguided attempt to fix the world that would twist him into something else, one embraces his community and decides to guide with compassion and love for others so that he can achieve his lifelong dream of seeing his people together as one. Yes, you read the title right. When you really think about it, the importance of the TCOGs can also be interpreted as a metaphor for gender identity. Given that Cybertronian society in this continuity is rooted on the idea of quote-unquote worthy Cybertronians being given the ability to transform, it can evoke the idea of designating a person a gender label before their birth. With that, if they go against their designated label, the cis heteronormative societal structure will retaliate to enforce these regressive gender roles onto them. At the start of the movie, Orion has mentioned that he felt there is something more for him than just the mere lowly miner who is among the few quote-unquote helping Iacon. Just pay attention to his tone and body language here.
The sooner Energon flows again, the sooner we won't have to mine for it. Don't you want to choose your own path, do whatever you want?
We're miners. Mine, that's all.
No, there's got to be something more I can do. I can feel it.
To me, his doubt about his place in the world reminds me of my own questions about my gender identity throughout my life. From a young age, being assigned a girl at birth has never sat right with me. I'm a feminine person, but there is a difference between being feminine by choice and being feminine because everyone else tells you to. My older sister has brought it up to me one time that I have always read androgynous based on her observations of me as we grew up together. I alternate between a masculine and a feminine clothing style when I feel like it. I like to play with my friends' action figures one day and then play with my dolls the next. Essentially, I have a subconscious awareness of my place in the world. I'm someone who exists outside of the traditional gender binary. This moment of subconscious doubt expressed by Orion can be seen as a metaphor for gender dysphoria, which is something I still currently grapple with because I can't really have gender-affirming healthcare at the moment. By the way, gender dysphoria refers to the dissonant feelings between your gender identity and the sex you're assigned at birth. Being a Latina femme person in a traditional Latino household, our social norms are strictly rooted in the basis of a man being strong and independent and a woman being demure and mindful. With that, I face pressures of being a traditional Latina quote-unquote girl even when I express my discomfort at being made to dress overly feminine to appease these gender norms. Of course, said gender norms are the result of colonization that enforce a gender binary rooted in Eurocentric beauty standards and religious fascism. But hey, YouTube is gonna swing the hammer on me if I go on, so Google is free, lads. Anyways, the reason why I bring this up is because I relate to this feeling of discomfort in his own skin experienced by Orion. He knew a part of him is missing. I knew a part of me is missing. In a way, his character represents that nagging feeling of your doubt and alienation in your own skin that signifies to you that you were born in the body you didn't want. Like keep in mind, sometimes I feel a little insecure about my voice because even though I strictly go by they, them, sometimes people confuse me for a girl because of my voice. Just, I know that a lot of people really like the way I sound, but sometimes I do feel a little self-conscious about it because, to me, it's just a reminder of something that I couldn't have in the moment. This is why Orion Pax is my comfort character. Just, I relate to him in so many different ways, and I'm sorry. Hold on. Whew. Sorry for that. Hyper emotional Torb is a rarity, so I know how alienating it could be to some of y'all, so sorry for that. But I feel like that's a good way of like expressing how this one moment with Orion at the beginning of the movie really speaks out to me more than like I originally thought up. So back on track, Orion's discomfort can also be tied to the autistic coding I've picked up on his character, in which autistic trans people represent the refusal to abide by the gender binary, which is a social norm that many autistic people struggle to comply with. I want to make it clear that not all autistic people feel this way, as some still choose to be cisgender, but it's a common thing that me and other autistic trans people like me experience. In case you're curious about what I mean about like not conforming to social norms, please refer to my previous video essay about the autistic coding of both Orion's and Dee's characters down below. Moving on to Dee's character, his own arc can represent the resilience in affirming your gender identity against the system that has hurt you. While his methods of achieving his goals is what ultimately backfired on him, it's important to note that receiving his transformation cog helped him feel at peace with himself finally. Essentially, Orion and the main amigos regaining the transformation cogs they were robbed of at their birth can evoke the feeling of finally figuring out your gender identity after a road of questioning who you truly are. Just the moment of euphoria they all experience upon transforming for the first time. It's something that I'd say it's a similar feeling I definitely felt when it comes to discovering my own gender identity. Just, it's made even more apparent by perhaps the most transcoded line within the movie.
How are we supposed to do that?
We can't fight. We don't have cogs.
What defines a transformer is not the cog in its chest, but the spark that resides in their core. A spark that gives you the will to make your world better. And that spark, Sentinel can never take from us.
At its core, Transformers One is a trans story in a way. Our main protagonists unlock their true potential through discovering who they are from regaining a core part of their identities. Just, even if some of you may need some time to understand this interpretation of the film, what matters is that it has provided a light of hope for me in my current circumstances. It may take a while to get there, but what's important is that this story tells me to take my time to bloom. One day, it will be time to show them that we are more than meets the eye. Transformers One is a movie that I need in my life at this moment. It has helped me out in so many ways, especially as a queer person living in a vitriolic time within my country at the moment. I'm so glad that a lot of queer people like me have also expressed similar feelings towards this movie, which tells me a lot about its impact even when the odds are stacked against it. Just, it's okay if some of y'all don't get it, but what's great is that it teaches kids the importance of remaining true to who they are in a world where they will experience these obstacles at some point in their life. Transformers One is a queer story through and through, and it remains uncompromised in its themes way to the end. Given how Transformers serve as a key example of having a well-known LGBTQ+ fan base, This movie is one of many that keeps that light going. Just, after all, freedom is the right of all sentient beings, not some. Happy Pride Month, everybody, and thank you all so much for coming along with me on this merry road to the One Piece. Anyways, now that I feel like I have covered everything I want to talk about with Transformers One, this is probably the end of the Tier 1 Depresso Ego era until further notice. Just like I said with Transformers 1 a while back, maybe I'll get back to talking about this movie one day once I feel like there's something else to discuss. Before you all ask, in light of that news that I posted in the community tab of my channel the other day, I'm just gonna let this clip speak for itself when it comes to my specific thoughts about the entire situation.
Don't you want to stop him? No, I want to kill him!
There we go. Anyways, for July, I'll work on getting the next entry in the So I Edit TFA series out sometime, as well as working on another Transformers X Wicked edit. Also, I just remember that I promised some Rise of the Beast edits this year, so keep an eye out for that as well. With all that out of the way, once again, thank you all so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more of my content. And I'll see you back here next time. Once again, happy Pride Month, everybody. Bye!